What is up, everybody? We are live here on Fireside Chats with Big Chief Burrito with our guest today, actor / humanitarian is how I put it in my post earlier today, and the founder of Arts for a Better Tomorrow, a program that helps underprivileged youth in San Diego, Tijuana, Los Angeles. Mr. Jose Yenque, thank you for taking the time today. Welcome to the program, man.
Hey, thank you so much for inviting me, man.
I've
been on Zoom and virtual since this morning, so this is a nice way to end the day.
Hey, it's a Zoom StreamYard type of day, and to familiarize all our live viewers with some of Jose's work, I'm going to play one of your most recent reels here, so people are familiar with it.
I really wish you hadn't found that.
Freeze! Lower the bat, Anthony. It's over. We know Felix didn't leave his violin at Beth's. He followed you there and has been covering for you ever since.
You don't understand. I sent Felix to Beth to help him, not make him worse. He doesn't have any friends. He doesn't have a life. Play the violin more. It's not normal.
Why exactly am I here?
Well, my associate here, Mr. Diego, he knows more about this business than anyone that I know.
He overheard you tonight, apparently sharing a great wealth of information on how to improve our business.
And I want to find out what that is.
No, I really don't know. I don't know anything.
One more time. Huh. And I'm going to sew your lips shut.
Mr. Pomeroy, let us take a walk outside. As it has been prophesied by our great potentate, we vow our lives to protect this special child.
Backup's on the way.
Gracias, señorita. Excuse me.
My cell phone is a .22 caliber gun. Now you either come with me or I start shooting innocent bystanders.
Just go and check. Go to the Holy Redeemer Church in Meadowbrook. Please.
Well, get me out of here.
And what if I don't?
I give you your last kiss.
And you fall 40 stories.
Oh, but don't fight it, Charlie. It's all part of the healing process.
This is based on the mobile game Snake, yes?
Yeah, there were a few snakes on this one.
The one that goes...
I was bitten. But the venom was
Fantastico!
Chocolate!
Chocolate.
I suggest you switch to English from now on.
¿Y por qué?
Sir, do you speak my language?
As a matter of fact, I do. We do. Very well. Don't we, Luna?
Yes. All you need to do is stop using that language. You know, assimilate.
And all you have to do is eat yourself a taco and see a therapist. Adapt.
I'm wishing my
All right.
I'm dying over here because I was just exposed. That's the demo that we use at the schools. And so if you notice,
Okay.
it says earn 5 credits. And
Oh, okay.
it's a character development. That's so funny.
Do you know which one of those is my favorite clip?
Can I guess?
Yes.
It's Always Sunny.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got to tell you something. If you're a Sunny fan, I got an anecdote for you. When I went into audition for that, I saw a lot of my friends, and people don't understand when you go to an audition, you see what we call the usual suspects. So you see the same people, and you get a big job in a TV show and a film, and then the job's over. Even if you land on a series, you do the series, and it always comes to an end, right? So you go back on the market, and you're auditioning, and I saw my friends, hey, what's up? And it was in a casting office where the walls were thin, so that we're in the waiting room and we're like waiting and smiling at each other and trying to relax and breathe and all that stuff, and you could hear people in there, and I'm like, oh man. So it's showtime. I look at it, you know what? I'm gonna go and give a show, whatever. And I was in there, and I said at the last minute, I thought, I'm gonna do my best impersonation of Antonio Banderas. Now, I did meet Antonio at an award show back in New York. I was being recognized for something. It was my first humanitarian award in 2011, and so I got to talk to him, and I was fascinated by the way he talked. Everything was so breathy, and it's not an act; it's real, and it seems really, I thought so. I decided to do that at the audition, and I did. So the character was not written with an accent. He was just, I think, a passionate mechanic. So I thought at the last minute, as I'm walking in, they call, Jose Yenque, yeah, right here. Okay, step this way. And I'm walking, bam, and then I go in and I start doing this passionate, car mechanic with this kind of vibe, and it felt good. And the producers were laughing like crazy, and that kind of fed me. And that's how Ernesto, the car mechanic, the passionate car mechanic, came to be.
I hadn't met you before, and then I was rewatching Sunny for like the 4th time or something, and I was like, just double take when I got to that episode. I was like, wait a minute, that's Jose. Like, do you ever get recognized for that, or do you get recognized more for different roles?
I get recognized for that when I talk. People don't. Usually people look at me, and I see people in the supermarket, and if I get something that reruns, and I get stuff that reruns from many years ago.
Yeah.
Sometimes there was a time where they would I've been at the Ralph supermarket, and they get that lady or two that are following me in the cart, and they're kind of following. I go to the next house, and I'm looking at the toilet paper in my hand, and I'm looking, and then they're like this, but it's mostly when I talk. For some reason, this together with the voice is when the people are like, But interesting enough, I get a lot of. If something airs or something reruns, I get a lot of people coming up to me, and they're like, hey, you were at Chewy's barbecue last 2 Saturdays ago. Oh, wait, you're Melinda's cousin, right? Melinda from Hawthorne. And I'm like, no. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. And usually I have to go, and I'm an actor. Ah, are you sure? Yes, I'm an actor. Oh, okay.
Let me check my W-2s.
It's funny.
Do you because I talk to a lot of actors, we get a little off track, but since we're talking about it now, I speak to a lot of actors regarding kind of the audition process. Mm-hmm. That was a last second decision that you made on the spot, but do you subscribe to the theory that when you are auditioning, that's the only guaranteed time when the part is yours, so make creative decisions to sort of stand out? Is that kind of like your thought process for that?
About to stand out? No. My whole thing with auditioning, and remember, I've been doing this for quite some time, and my whole thing is have a great time doing it. I love this profession, and I'm all about letting the whole world know that this is a valid profession, and it's a profession that needs to be respected the way people respect an attorney and an accountant. We're putting ourselves out on the line, and we're not just putting our technique, we're putting our souls out there, depending what kind of actor you are. So for me, I'm a big believer in taking risks, right? I'm a big believer in following this, and of course, still using this in life. And so, everything that I've learned as an actor and I discovered as a working actor on the set or in the casting office, I apply it to my life. I apply it to my life, and it goes hand in hand. We spend so much time, reading scripts and getting ourselves ready for that casting. We do a lot of that. A lot of we at least I got to speak for myself. I spend more time auditioning than actually booking work. But when I book the job, it's a heavy duty one, and it's fun. And so when I go in there, if there's a job that I really really want, you know what? If they say we're looking for a guy 6'1" Latino with dark hair who happens to wear a blue shirt and whatever,
yeah,
and talks like Jose Yenque, Jose Yenque type, and if I walk in, I could still not get the job, right? But I go in, I say, you know what? Let me just go in and have the best time that I possibly can, and enjoy myself, enjoy the journey, right? And just don't stress about it. And if you get the nerves, thank them. Enjoy the nerves. Not that many of us feel nervous. Feel nervous anymore. If you feel nervous, enjoy it, breathe, and go in there and do the best. That's what I'm about. That's my process.
Obviously, thank you everybody that's tuned in so far. If you have any questions for Jose, either about his acting career, about his program, Arts for a Better Tomorrow, go ahead and leave a comment on either the Facebook stream, the YouTube stream, and also now the Twitch stream. And if you are watching this, go ahead and let's get a like check. If you are watching the stream live, just give it a quick like. That'll put it in front of more people so we can get more comments and interact with Mr. Yenque. Obviously, the first thing I want to talk to you about, Jose, is, and we'll backtrack it a little bit about kind of your history with acting and stuff, because there is a lot to talk about there. But the most important thing that we wanted to talk to you today about is your organization, Arts for a Better Tomorrow, and kind of what it means to people in our region, in Tijuana, Los Angeles, San Diego. Real quickly, Saul says, "Saludos, Jose. Thanks for everything you do in Tijuana. And es por los niños." And Dizzy says, stopping by to say hi. Thanks for tuning in, Dizzy. So can we start there? What did that sort of come about? What was the genesis that brought that idea into your head, and how did you kind of create that vision?
Well, I for many years since I was very young, my childhood was a wonderful childhood, and then we hit some real choppy waters. I mean, real choppy waters, and I say it not with the thing of victimization, and not with the thing of, oh man, you don't know my struggle. You know my struggle. We all have the struggle, and some of us have it a little bit more intense than others. Some of us are born with the tools, the instinctive tools to manage, those rough times. I did at one point when I turned 12 and 13, something just went crazy within me, and I found myself weighing 230 pounds, and also I had a problem looking at people in the eyes. I had a problem just feeling nervous around people, and I even stuttered at one point. And so my mom put me into an acting workshop in New York. This is New York, by the way, and it was in Manhattan. We had just moved to Manhattan. I was still in junior high school, and put me into an acting workshop. And during those 6 months of an acting workshop, those 6 months of pulling me screaming out of my comfort zone into this weird zone of moving your body and playing, tree, happy tree, a sad tree, angry tree, and doing exercises that would one would say, God, how ridiculous, what a clown. But I needed that. And that
were you doing like the mirror exercise?
Oh man, the mirror. Oh, you know it, huh? Who leads?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who leads, and for those who don't know, it's something that we do, and you kind of connect with the other person. Okay, now you lead. Now B leads. Oh, and we were doing.
Now nobody leads.
Oh my God, that's what they're what they're doing there, right? They're warming up their instinct. That instinct that you kind of put to the back because that voice, those thoughts in your mind is telling you you're not good enough, you're not good enough. That instinct that we put it kind of warms it up. And so you're like, I mean, it's a beautiful thing, the kind of exercises that we did, and improvisation, where you don't know what's going to come next. You don't know what the other person, you don't know where the scene is going. It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful because life is like that. And so going through that whole 6 months of that, we ended up doing a play. At the end of the workshop, we developed stories and we ended up doing a play. And I stopped stuttering. I became active. I just became really active. And I just, I was that age and I dropped away. And I started to stand up straight and I started to speak and I started to look in the eyes. And that's something that I never forgot. There was a period where I went right into acting. I even went into dance at one point. I was with Ballet Hispanico of New York. I was part of that junior company for a while. And went to Europe, did West Side Story, and I traveled, and it took me to so many places. But then I never forgot in the back of my head that what really saved my life. At 14 years old, I didn't know if I had any options. It was, for me, it would seem like it was the end of the road. And there were things that were going through my head that were not, that were not healthy for me. And so I really, say thank you to the tools that actually, gave.
Was your because I mean your mother's an established actor, Jose Yenque, in her own right. Was she already an active actress before that? And before she introduced you to that acting program, because it was what your mom did, were you sort of maybe not inclined to follow her footsteps, like in rebelling? Did you have a different thought process in mind as to what your future was going to be at that point?
No, I had no idea what the next minute was. I was afraid of the next minute in my life. I was just afraid to come out of my room. I was afraid of so many things. And my mom, I would go and see her since I was like 6 years old. My brother and I would go see her in the plays. And I was mesmerized by watching her on stage. And ironically, in this little theater on 53rd Street, which is, I don't think it's not there anymore, little theater called Intar Theater. And she would do her plays, and I was running up and down the halls, and the director, Max Ferrao, was like yelling and saying, "Oh, Teresa, get these kids, control them." And, we would do stuff just to mess with them, right? And we were there, and we watched all of the great actors, including my mom, doing these classic, Spanish plays, these tragedies, Lorca, Lope de Vega, we saw, I think my first time I ever saw like a woman's body with like an Rosa de Papel. I was like maybe 7 or 8 years old, and my first, pair of my first woman's body, my first woman's body I saw was on House of Bernardo Alba, and their interpretation of that. My mom was playing Martirio, so I was, and interesting enough, I believe the seed was planted. The acting bug that they talk about, that was planted. And I saw how my mom came to life while she was on that stage. I mean, literally come to life. And my dad wasn't around in the picture anymore. And that stayed within me. So years later, when I started to go into my shell, and she just threw me into this acting workshop. She said, "Here, every Thursday, you're going to be going here." And I would. And all of a sudden, that barrier that I had around me, it was very protective, that barrier came down. And all of a sudden, I started to see the world, and I started to live. It was impactful, and this leads right into Arts for a Better Tomorrow, the organization I started with the social emotional arts education programs, is working with kids who stopped living a long time ago, who stopped living when they were first abused, right? Many of our youngsters come from some form of trauma or abuse. To watch them, to see them and meet them and see that they have that barrier, that protective barrier, really, really, really strong, like a fort, and to help them bring that down so that they're able to see the world and experience life the way it should be, able to love and be loved, loving. That's the key. So everything is united. Everything from my mom introduced me to this, from me watching her on stage when I was a little kid, to getting that first acting workshop and being there and just kind of blossoming from that point. That's why this is my passion. Am I still working as an actor? Yeah. But I mean, this thing seems to go hand in hand. You know, it just goes hand in hand. It's like, peanut butter and jelly,
I like how you ask your own follow-up questions, so I don't have much to do, Jose. I still work
Okay, now I mentioned to you, I was diagnosed with ADHD.
Yeah.
But it took years before I was diagnosed. So I was like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? But it is what it is. I'm not taking medication, but so sometimes I do that, and then I do the follow-up, and and so I'll come back.
That's excellent, man. You do your thing. I'm excited to have you on here. What was the because I obviously I grew up in Queens, sort of parallel to you. I started I think that acting and taking acting classes. There was a thread on Facebook the other day where somebody was talking about that fact that everybody should take an acting class because it really sensitizes you to other people's emotion. It makes you sort of literally step in somebody else's shoes. It can absolutely help you. Obviously, that's the basis of that. And I started off, when I was in high school, out of like my 5 best friends that all sort of started high school together, I was the only one that graduated. And the big reason for that was the fact that sophomore year, I got into drama club, ended up doing improv and being a lead in 2 high school plays. And then I studied at HB Studios in the Village under Uda Hagen. Well, I never actually got to study directly with her, but I did audit a lot of her classes, and I did go to a ton of classes at that school. So, shout out HB Studios in New York. They also have
Robert Morehouse was mine.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Ooh. And that was such a great school because you had people that it was inexpensive. You'd go there and you'd take an acting class, and these people that taught you 2 hours later would be doing Fiddler on the Roof, or they'd be doing something on Broadway. So that was kind of real intoxicating to learn from people that actually have stake in the game and that are that are active. Do you find it difficult to balance your desire to continue acting with your desire to teach and sort of impart these lessons to the youth?
The thoughts that come into my mind sometimes, and they come in through the back door. When I don't breathe and do deep breathing, which is I'm all about the meditation, or let me not call it meditation. Let's call it relaxing, right? When I relax, and I think that, I'm good. I know that it's challenging. I mean, you're when they say you're burning a candle at both ends, I mean, there's a big candle, and it's a lot. And but sometimes inside comes these thoughts. They sneak in and they say, "What do you think you're doing? This is a lot of work," and it is. I just decided to embrace it. I decided to lean into it. Like I mentioned to you, I've been on, and Zoom, with meetings and stuff, mostly right now for the organization stuff and these programs. I know since COVID, a lot of people woke up and said, "Oh, wow, social emotional wellness, resilience building programs, they're definitely needed." And I always knew that since years ago. And so my goal is to make this work at a larger scale, definitely. It's burning midnight oil. I have a very small team, and I'm so appreciative of. So, but it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. And am I leaning into it? Yeah, I'm not leaning in so far that I'm going to get a stroke. I'm going to get a heart attack. No, we got to take care of ourselves for sure. But for sure, it fuels me. It fuels me, and they both complement each other. The work with the kids definitely complements what I do. When I'm on the stage or in front of a camera, and then vice versa. It just goes hand in hand. Yeah.
What is step one in the sort of immersion of somebody that's new to the program? You say a lot of these kids come from, homelessness, emotional, physical abuse, things like that. When you first meet them, what is step one, in terms of like breaking down those barriers that might have been affecting them?
My goal is to open this type of workshop to anyone. So the first thing we do is we get the youngster interested in this whole concept. So, oh, what we're going to be learning acting. I can't do that. I can't do whatever Vin Diesel does. I don't know how to do that. I can't be in front of a camera like they can. Yes, you can. And we're all actors. So we first introduce them we expose them to the concept that they've acted before, and they're like, oh yeah, oh I guess I did, yeah, you have. And so the goal that almost like the spine of this program is getting the young person to first of all discover who they are. The way as an actor, we have to know ourselves. We have to get to know ourselves, so that if we're going to play a character, you got to be comfortable with yourself, in order to go into a casting and put yourself in a situation where you're on a set with the big wigs, and be able to hold your own, be able to go in front of an audience, and if you're gonna introduce somebody, or if you're going to accept the recognition, how to be able to speak, and how to not let the nerves get to you. So first step is to help the youngster discover who they are. And then we do that by character work. So the way we would look at a character, say, let's give an example, like Machete. Everybody loves Machete. Like these kids, they're like, wow, Danny. Break down a character in one of his films, and then we turn it on them. Okay, now let's create a whole new character from scratch, and let's base it on some of your traits. Let's see some of your traits. What do you got going on? Oh, and then who's got your back? So that gets them to know. So it's discover who you are, accept who you are, and then the ultimate one is love who you are. And as you know, because of people growing up in different challenging conditions, poverty being one of them, where there's violence going all around you, you get traumatized. It may not happen to you directly, but you get traumatized. It really does have an impact on the way you make decisions when you grow up. It has an impact on the way you have relationships, on the way you confront obstacles. And so with us, the goal is to help these youngsters, get to know themselves and get to know that they really have a lot more resilience than what they even imagine what they have. And just kind of wake them up, just to wake them up. It woke me up,
Right.
Waking them up. And don't get me wrong, it really started as, I'm going to do an acting. It started in Tijuana, by the way, at an orphanage. I said, I watched these kids grow up, and I thought, I want to do an acting workshop. It'll work for me. Maybe it'll help them get out of their shyness. Maybe it'll help with self-esteem. So I did. But then years, as I started getting in there, I realized that the waters were very, very deep. They were very deep. And that's when my swimming with the sharks happened. Life happened, But yeah.
When you were starting this off, obviously you played a pivotal role in the movie Traffic, where you were, this sort of cold character that really, is a real life character that people might see in border towns. Is that kind of where you became interested in doing something like this, specifically in Tijuana? Is that kind of where that started?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, Traffic was my introduction to Mexico. Until then, I only knew Mexican food from eating at the Mexican restaurant or margaritas and whatever, Mexican food, right? And so that was my first time in my introduction to San Diego, my introduction to Mexico. Most of the movie the parts that I was in, I only shot one scene in San Isidro, where we're crossing the border, and in an SUV, and most of it was shot in New Mexico. It was shot in, I don't know why I'm blacking out, but that way towards Albuquerque. We shot the desert scene in Albuquerque on the U.S. side, and so a lot of it was that was my introduction. But when I went into Mexico, and in between takes, we're hanging out the set. They're shooting under the scene, so they're not going to cross us back into the U.S. And I would see like just young people hanging out, and it would be late. It would be late, and we'd be shooting, and I see the same young people sitting around watching. and I don't see any adults. And so that image stayed in my head. About a year or two later, an acting teacher that I had, and a wonderful person who I owe my introduction to a Mexican orphanage, is a wonderful human being. Her name is Lee Kilton Smith. So she said, in an acting class, she was like, hey, group to her students, hey, you know what? Let's go to Tijuana. Let's take food and supplies to this orphanage in this rural part of Tijuana called the Ejido Matamoros. And I mean, there was no paved roads. It was all dirt roads and everything. And we went up there, and that's when I met this wonderful group of possibilities. And I kept going back for many years, and then that just started to build. So I give thanks to working on that movie Traffic, and it almost didn't happen, dude. I actually said no to that role, and
really,
yeah, it was because I was at that point back then. We grow up and we're like, we start getting wiser as we get older. But back then, I had gotten tired of playing the Latino with a gun. So we're talking about like 2000, and I had played already on TV a lot of the perps. I had played spent a lot of time, saying I didn't do it. And then I got older, and then I started to play like
Sorry, Soderbergh, I'm good.
No, what's interesting is they asked me to go in to read. They had seen the demo, and back then my demo reel, which is kind of like what you saw in the beginning, there wasn't a lot on it. All I had was an episode that I did of NYPD Blue, where I played a guy being arrested, saying I didn't do it, and some clips of the X-Files, where the Chupacabra episode, where I played this migrant worker who, his brother is turning into the Chupacabra. And you notice I could say that with a straight face, right? And so, that's what he saw, and they said, bring him in. And I was like, no. And I got to tell you, I ended up going in because I needed the money. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to play it, and have fun with the role. And I did. And I think that having the fun with the role and being as jovial, bringing a lot of me, Jose Yenque, into that role, I think it made it creepier. So the more nicer and charming I was, the creepier I see. So it fit with that character.
Yeah, it's definitely a very cold-blooded, creepy, scary portrayal, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was talking to David Fernandez, and I think I also talked to briefly John Leguizamo when I met him about a year ago about this, which is at what point, because I look at these IMDb kind of pages for these actors, and even though they have some meaty roles in there, I still see a lot of cholo, tatted up cholo, gangster, guy with a gun, Latin gangster, stuff like that in there. So there is a fine line for actors, specifically, Latino actors, African-American actors, where they sort of have to make a decision at some point between, making the money or sort of at some point taking a stand and saying, I don't feel comfortable putting another one of these on screens, even though somebody's going to take that role, right?
I mean, it's work. And something, I look at it this way, in a story, because we're storytellers, right? And in the story, there's got to be the yin and the yang. There's got to be the friction. And so if we need the good element, and then we need a bad element, so that the good element has something to fight for, and we as an audience have something to kind of root for, you'd be surprised how many people actually root for the bad element. You'd be surprised, especially nowadays. There's a lot of that. And so, I mean, if I don't take the job, someone else will take it. But there comes a point where, I think an actor can choose what he wants to do and what he doesn't want to do. I've turned down work. What? Jose, you turned down work? I've turned down work because if I think that the story is not, if I think the story, and this is going to sound a little bit weird, but if I don't think the story is going to really do any good for the world, if it's something with just bang 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 because some young filmmaker wants to show the that he's got his new, steady cam, and he wants to show the girls by the bikini, the bikinis by the pool, and the guy's shooting somebody randomly because of whatever, then you know what, I'm not going to be part of that, and I don't have to, no matter how much the salary could be. But if they're trying to tell that story, if that's their reality, it's an urban reality, then put some heart into it, and put some different grit into it, and so and find solutions. We can impulse people to think, and come up with solutions and get them excited, get them thinking about healing, get them thinking about doing something different. That's the type of movie I love to work on. That's definitely the type of movie that I want to work on. Yeah. So I mean, I think at one point back then when I did say no to that role, I said it was an amazing script. It was like this thick, and I didn't understand a lot of it because it bounced all over the place. But I'm glad I did it. But I think that at that point I had been doing some TV roles, and I played these kind of creepy characters. And my niece was, I think, like 12 or 13 years old, and in New York, and she said, that she was watching TV with her girlfriends, and then she asked that. I remember she said, why do you always play this type of characters? And back then I didn't have in my head the concept that you got to have that yin and the yang. You got to have the two opposing to cause friction. And back then I just said, I don't know. And then from that point on, the next thing that came was I did a great film that was on HBO Latino called The Blue Diner. And that was the first movie and the first character that I got to play that was so much like me. So it was me at my age, whatever age I was back then, but with a jovial, little step to him, in the thing I sing, in the thing I read poems. It was fun. I played an artist, a visual painter. And so going from that, having a great time on the set, my mom even, had a scene in that movie was Lisa Vidal, Miriam Colon. To go from that to get offered Traffic was difficult, because I went from playing Tito, the bohemian artist who loves to be in love with this woman, to Salazar Soldier #1, the torturer. My nickname was the torturer and the torturador. To go from that to that was crazy, but I'm glad I did it, man. I'm really glad I did it. Yeah.
I spoke to a couple of filmmakers that were part of the Horrible Imaginings Film Festival. Miguel Rodriguez, whose festival just ended, and one of the things that I sort of talked to them about was the burgeoning horror sort of genre in Mexico, in Colombia, in Brazil, countries that realistically have a lot of real life horrors happening in them, and kind of about the correlation of shit that's worse than you see in a horror movie happening around you in your environment, and obviously that affects you, that gives you PTSD, that affects you in a ton of different ways, and sort of making movies. The thought that a lot of these horror movies that are coming out of Mexico, Colombia, Brazil deal with a lot of supernatural stuff. They don't necessarily deal with a lot of like gritty, like slasher sort of stuff like that. They sort of take themselves out into like a ultra uber realistic sort of universe. Do you find that your students are affected in the same way? And do you find that they're more interested in getting out of themselves and playing a different character, or telling stories to sort of, that sort of correlate to that reality?
Well, interesting enough, you're talking about the students who are part of the program, right?
Yeah.
Very, very few want to be actors. Very few. I mean, they enjoy taking the class, and we don't, like, if they want to be an actor, we're like, what, for sure, definitely we can help you out in any way by at least guiding you. But the majority of, maybe like 95%, don't want to be actors. They still come to the class. Their reality comes out, and about improvisation. We don't really plan anything. Everything just comes out organically. And a lot of times these stories of what their reality is surfaces. And interesting enough, there's been improvisations by we've worked with 13 and 14-year-old girls who have been trafficked sexually since they were like 7 and 8. So we get them in this angry state, but yet when you kind of put that down and get a little bit vulnerable in the safe space of the little classroom wherever we do it, things come out and they start to play. And when things come out and start to play, then that filter is a little bit, it's kind of gone. So sometimes what comes up in the improvisation is part of what they had gone through. And a lot of the trafficking, incidents, or living with the person who either kidnapped them or they were staying with, who was doing, selling them or whatever, that comes out. And it comes out sometimes in drama, something really heavy. But most of the time it comes out in comedy. Like this one girl, I remember her she did a monologue. It was supposed to be a scene, but she ended up talking so much the way I do. I'm talking like crazy, right? She ended up talking about this, it was a monologue that she called Smelly Feet. And it was about her uncle that she lived with. And he lived in the living room. She was in the bedroom, and she talked about how long she had to hold her breath. And depending what she needs to make in the kitchen, because the kitchen was right there where the couch was. So she goes, okay, today I got to make a sandwich. Okay, I can hold my breath for a sandwich. But if I have to cook rice, then that's not going to happen. I have to cook it, come back. So she started talking about that. But the way she did it was so funny. And then it was later on that I found out from the orphanage director that uncle it wasn't her uncle. It was the guy who had kidnapped her. So this is a great platform for everybody, for these youngsters who witness this or have family that's involved in some of the activities, to kind of get it off and process it, and then hopefully maybe change, what they're thinking about their future, what the future holds for them.
I think
there's more.
I think one of the things that I had to sort of understand about the program was the misconception that it's not necessarily, like you said, here's a bunch of here's a bunch of kids in Tijuana or LA that want to be actors, and this is a program to help them out. It's not your standard, A to B. You're literally using the art as a coping and a therapeutic solution to a real life problem.
Yeah, for sure. And once again, I go back to what worked for me. And then as the years gone by, and I've had a very interesting career, and there's been the ups, there's been the downs. And I've had my battle with all kinds of things, you name it. And the biggest battle that I've had was with myself. And I have to still, the tools that the acting has taught me, and also being in the business here has taught me about myself. Those tools, I just put them out, and you can just plant them with people who have no acting experience and have no plan on being actors. And you can the tools, they work with everyone. You know what I'm saying? That so it's like I'm just kind of taking up the tool. You don't have to get your head shot. You don't have to go and find a talent agent or learn how to. No, you even teach them how to do a casting, because at the end of the day, they are going to put themselves out there. Whether it be they're going to get a job at I don't know, at a restaurant, at a Taco Bell, at a 7-Eleven, or they're going to ask a girl out, or the girl's going to ask a guy out, or whatever. They're going to go apply for they have an interview with the dean for a scholarship or something. These are all stuff that we use, to be able to be in front of a casting director. Those are the ones that we're using to help them, so that they can be they can be on their stage or in front of their camera, which is the work. That's definitely what we're doing, for sure. I thank God for like all of the ups and all of the downs, all of the obstacles, and being able to have a way of thinking about it where let's turn this around, because things are going to happen. It's just life, and I'm all about thinking positive and really really bringing that in, right? That positivity, but things happen. And sometimes if there's a fire downstairs and it burns half of my apartment, it has nothing to do with I wasn't thinking positive. It's just that happens. The COVID, it happened. Was the whole world being negative? Who knows? But it's
Right.
just a matter of just taking the situation and rolling, it's rolling with the punches and just everything that the acting is taught.
And obviously, and to sort of echo your previous point about treating acting as a legitimate profession, all these people that's been locked down for the last 6 months, who did you turn to when you were bored at home? You read a book, you watched a movie, you were helped through this pandemic by artists, actors, writers, creators, and create, and their creativity in the shows, everything that you watch, every show that you binged, every movie that you wish you could watch in a theater, was written by somebody, by an artist, was performed by somebody, an artist, an actor, a composer, a graphic design artist, people that are talented. So there's, hopefully if this pandemic has done something for the arts, it is hopefully bring about the appreciation that, we live in an instant gratification world where I always say, if you're bored, you really just haven't thought of something to do, because literally there is always something you can do, something you can watch. Almost too much, some people would say, but it definitely has sort of brought to the forefront how important actors are to society, to the world, to our culture. When you first saw your mother on stage, when you were a little kid, and you said that seed was planted, for acting, and then when you sort of rediscovered it when you were 13 or 14, going through your troubles and sort of opened up about, do you think that from that age it was sort of dormant inside you, but it was always there? Obviously, you say you didn't really know moment to moment what you were going to do, but if you had gone down an alternate path, what do you think you'd be doing?
Well, what I think I'd be doing, man, I know that I don't remember this, but I know that my grandfather told me that when I was maybe 2 or 3 years old, that I said I wanted to be a fireman, and he asked me why, and I said because I want to save people's houses from getting burnt. Right? He told me that, and and I remember that, because after they told me, I was already, teenager or maybe in my 20s, and I thought about it, and I wondered, man, maybe I would have been a fireman. I would have been a fireman who acted at night, or maybe wrote plays, and maybe I would have written a movie about, maybe
Steve Buscemi. You could have been Steve Buscemi.
With Steve Buscemi, I may have, or I would have written Backdraft, maybe, I don't know.
Hey, it's funny that you mentioned that, because my mom told me that when I was a kid, they asked me what I wanted to do, and I said, quiero ser pintor, right? I wanted to paint, and she's like, oh, do you want to paint like flowers or people? And I was like, no, I want to paint houses.
You know what? The home that's your castle, that's your sanctuary. So why should it not look beautiful? So you have something going on in there, it should look beautiful. Why not?
Yeah, but then I caught the storytelling bug later on, which was good. We have another, but it's not a comment, but Vidal Lopez Solero Marrero.
Vidal, what's up?
He's watching.
All right, so I did my second play. God, must have been either 19 or 20. I did my second play that I ever did, or maybe I was older. Anyway, my second play that I ever did in New York, and Vidal was in. It was called Latin Lives. Tracy Villar, Guillermo Diaz, and my mom even came in and played a character there. And it was an amazing, you know what it was? It was a bunch of stories of just everyday Latinos in the neighborhood, in the barrio. And I connected with it, and I enjoyed playing it. It was a family, and it was beautiful. And to see Vidal there right now, he looks the same, exactly the same. And it always, this is a wonderful thing, because you build these little families. Vidal, I'll always consider like a brother, because in the play he played my brother. So, but you build these little families, and I'm sure you know about this. You You just add water and boom, family. And then you do the run of the play. As for those who don't know about the and then it's over, and it's closing night, and that's why you can see tears. You know, you do a series, do the run of the series, and then it's coming to an end, and then you get that butterflies in the stomach. You do a movie, and when you know that you get the schedule, and you know, okay, you got this is your last day, and you know you're coming to the last day, and you get that thing in your stomach, and you're like, man, I had a great time. And then you move on to the next thing, you know. But you always have these little families that you kind of leave all over, depending where you shoot, where you do your plays, you know. You leave all these families all around.
It starts. I think it started for me in high school because you have, the High School Musical, the High School Play. Everything is months of preparation, set building, rehearsals every day, and then you get to do the show twice. And then after that, it's done. You know, that's kind of like the harsh, but you know, when you get to further on in your career, you can sort of hold these little moments where these people are important, and then you see them on other shows or they work with you on other projects, and you pick up right where you left off, right?
Yeah. But you know, also don't forget that, and I'm sure you have experience with this in high school. The whole rehearsal process, you're trying to find, you know, even though you have a character, you're trying to find it, and you're trying to, you know, mix with everybody else. You're working with a director. And there's clashes. The way in a family there would be clashes and disagreements. There's big time clashes and probably and even fights, even physical fights.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I told I think I was talking to Tom, an actor about this, but I went from sophomore year. I joined drama because there was a girl I liked, so I took drama as an elective, and I didn't even realize where it was going to lead me. And I was a special effects technician on the first play that I did. The next year, I was the understudy on a Neil Simon musical, understudy to the lead, a play that was written for Sid Caesar called Little Me. And I ended up getting the lead role like a week before the opening night because the lead got kicked out of high school. So that's a very high school sort of situation there. But I loved, man, the thrill of going out there for just going out there and bowing in front of an audience, the visceral reaction to something, you know, it's a very, now for a director writer, the comparable solution for me is when I sit in the back of the theater and I watch my movie play and I hear people laughing at the right times to my joke. Those are the, you know, I traded one because I love acting. I really, really loved acting when I started off as a younger person, but I had to transition to what I think I'm better at, which is writing and directing. Mm-hmm. But you can definitely understand that reaction, but you don't get that when you're acting on a film project, right?
No, man. You know, you kind of give up the applause. So this is where the creativity comes in. You know, who haven't been on stage or maybe not in the business, there's a kind of, you know, you're going to hear that people say, oh, there's this love that comes across, you know, the footlights, and it comes from the audience and you feel it. It's a beautiful feeling, and you can feel it anywhere, really. But in that one, it's this, and it's just, they're like, wow. And then when you hear a bravo or whatever, and then they stand, you know, and they're like, whoa, and it's beautiful. And just not, you know, it's live performance, and you do it from the beginning all the way to the end. In a play, you're not going to stop and say, oh, well, you know, can I do that again, please? All right, good. Okay, take two, action. No, and then you come in. Can you imagine you can do that on stage? But no, you don't. And so you kind of give, you know, there's a thing that you sacrifice. It's, you know, you do this other thing and you bring it to life, and then you stop, and then you got to go back and do it again, and you do it again several times, and you got to keep it fresh, and you got to, I go back to me, you got to enjoy it. You've got to enjoy it. You know, and so, you know, you mentioned something about when, you know, they laugh when you do a comedy. And I remember being on stage, and you know, comedy is difficult, but you know, I remember getting a laugh on a certain moment or a certain line, and trying to get that laugh again the next day, like expecting it. And then when you go out there and you do it, and you don't get it, and then You shrink down to,
or they laugh at something that you didn't think was funny.
Yeah, and so you gotta have your pants on straight because it could throw you off. So you gotta know who your character is. I go right back into knowing who your character. You gotta know who your character is as the actor and as the character. You gotta know what you're made of, because something like that could throw you off. If something falls, you gotta be ready. And I go back into this acting program that I created for these youngsters. In life, you really gotta be ready. And I gotta tell you, I'm not always ready. There are things that happen, and I get thrown off. I'm not saying that I'm like, the hair club president, and I'm also the client. No, I mean, honestly, I go through stuff, and sometimes I gotta stop and be like, whoa, you're getting really pissed off because that guy cut you off. Whoa, you're thinking bad thoughts of like maybe speeding up and kind of giving him the finger or whatever. Then you're like, then you catch yourself, and you're like, whoa, come on, and then you meet him at the light, and you kind of just look over and you're like, acting has taught me how to kind of deal with that. But I get moments where I like, calm down, Jose, calm down,
I have a couple more comments here, people that are watching us live here. Bill Bivens, good to see you, Jose. It's good to hear your voice. Continued success as always. Thank you, Bill, for watching. And then Susie Bayona, qué buena entrevista. Felicitaciones.
That's from Peru. Oh my God. Hola, Susie.
Hey, we got people from all over the place, Let's crack an Inca Cola and
Inca Cola. Oh man.
That was when I was playing it when I would play soccer in Flushing Meadow Park in Queens when I was a kid. That was the sponsor of the sponsor of our team was Inca Cola.
Inca Cola. I met somebody who is in New York who was someone big in Inca Cola, and I remember I thought, my God, Inca Cola would be great to be one of the sponsors, the corporate sponsors for this program.
Yeah, shout out Inca Cola. They got some money. They got some soda money. They can drop a couple of bucks.
And on top of that, then there's a spot here with Inca Cola.
Yeah,
I drank that since I was a little kid.
Yeah, it's a great product. I don't know if you can tell by looking at me, but I do drink. I am a fan of soda, Jose. So
soda, no. I like sparkling wine.
Hey.
On a Sunday, it is what it is. I put sometimes, I put juice in it, and my friends are like, "Why are you drinking that? That looks so weird." But it does, make me feel good.
Do you we have another comment here from Eve Mueller. Felicidades. Thank you for watching.
Hey, Eve. I know her from work. Yeah, that I also do on the side is I work as a standardized patient. So for those who don't know what a standardized patient is, it's another career that's kind of fused in as with the acting career. So like in this case, UCLA would hire actors. A lot of the School of Medicine, they hire actors to portray characters with whether cancer or lung cancer or something, right? Something that's going on, and you go in and you study the character like you would, like you're showing up to the set, and then you work with medicine with the medical students, right? First, second, third year, right? Sometimes you work with the doctors, right? And they're trying to promote empathy, and I'm all about that. And that's something that a lot of people don't know about is that the standardized patient, that a lot of actors are doing this. And it's another profession because that when you're done doing this, you actually get to interact with the student, and you give them what you would say your feedback on their bedside manners. And you do give them feedback, and you give it to them in a constructive way. And that you're helping a generation of doctors who are going to be out there, and because of what you're doing, and we all go the extra mile, man. There's no way to do this job without going the extra mile. And that's something that I really enjoy doing, and I recommend more people go to universities and go apply. Actors who are out of work, definitely there's work there. So that's something that nobody knows that I do that on the side. It's like I'm a wonderful patient. Oh man, I love it. I love it, right? We have fun. We have fun. Yeah.
You got it. You got it. I wanted to show a clip of kind of the about us for Arch for a Better Tomorrow, and then I kind of wanted to jump into your acting career, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, by the way,
but,
in the clip, I just want I mentioned something about CBT, cognitive
right.
behavioral therapy. So those are tools to help manage anxiety, depression, and anger. I don't put anything into the program that I don't go through myself, and we have psychologists that work with us, but I put a lot of those tools to help manage anxiety, especially anxiety. I put that in there, and so we will hear me saying CBT in there somewhere.
Should I play the Who We Are English version, or should I play the 219 ADT info video?
Man, I don't know. I don't know. You know, by names, Who We Are. Who We Are, is that in English or Spanish?
It says in English.
Oh, no, in English. Otherwise, it's like Quienes Somos, right?
Quienes Somos. Is that all right if I play that one?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is just we're talking live with Jose Yenque. You know him from Traffic. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. A couple of other ones. I mean, Nash Bridges, Chicago Hope, NYPD Blue, New York Undercover.
Wow.
Right? Lost, CSI, Law and Order, Tango Amargo as another indie short there. A ton of stuff, man. I was saving this question for you guys later, but do you and your mom ever like a Thanksgiving dinner sort of go like throw down like IMDb credit for IMDb credit? Like she could throw out like The Sopranos and then you're like, boom, Lost. And then she's like, Amy Schumer Show. And then you're like, boom, CSI. You know, something
Man,
like that. Does that ever get competitive?
I never even thought about that. That's never even in my mind. And I know it hasn't crossed her mind either. You know something. We have a relationship. I'm so blessed, and it's why once again, this is the woman who introduced me to the arts. When I was 6, watching her on stage, fighting or wrestling or yelling and screaming at somebody, and I'm like, oh God, I know that she's really into this. And this is a woman who really has done so much in raising my brother and I, along with with my grandparents, her parents, and she gave me my appreciation for what it is, the strong woman. And yes, she's Latina, so let's go, the strong Latina woman. But just in general, the strong woman who can do so much and move a mountain. And I'm a big fan of a strong woman, and I love a strong woman, and so that's why when I can say that I'll call her. And she'll like, oh wait, I gotta go. They're calling me to the set, or we get a message.
I'm on the set of Jessica Jones. I'll call you later, son.
Oh, easily. And it's happened where we've both been on the set at the same time. I think last year I was working on My Block. Funny show. I had a great time working on that. It was a Netflix show. Working on there, and then she was working on a film in New York. And so like, oh yeah, what's your character? Oh, my character, whatever. What's yours? Oh, mine is this. Hey, listen, I'm having trouble with this moment. Or she'll tell me, hey, listen, I don't understand this part in the script. What does this joke mean? Because I'm supposed to tell this joke. And then I'll explain it to her. So we're helping each other. Oh, I gotta go. They're calling me on the set. All right. Having conversations like that with your mom, that is, you can't buy that anywhere. You can't, I mean, you can write it, but in a film, but that is an experience that just it's beautiful. Just trust me that it's beautiful, and the fact that we get to share that is a blessing, man. It is a blessing. So yeah, man, I'm a Jose Yenque fan 100%.
That's what I was just picturing you guys at Thanksgiving or a family get together, like, oh, like just one upping each other, like with name drops. Oh yeah, I remember that from when I was on. I remember that from when I was with James Gandolfini on the set of The Sopranos, and you're like, oh, okay. But obviously, there's a lot of love there. Obviously, it's a very unique mother-son relationship.
We've had arguments where I wonder. I've wondered if maybe she might be doing a little bit of acting, or I've wondered, and I've done it myself when I was younger. And so, but not like full out, just
right.
It's just interesting where I get a lot of people who, especially even the kids, they say, "Are you acting now? Are you acting now?" And I'm like, well, are you paying me? Pay me and I'll act,
Do you ever just kind of do a bit where you just act out like some crazy scenario, or just sort of go into some lie and then they're like, believe in you, and they're like, ha, acting.
I did that when I was a kid, but not with my mom. I would do that with some friends when I was in high school. We'd do that just for silliness and yeah.
Before I play this clip, I wanted to sort of mention before that one of the main reasons that we decided to talk today is because you guys are doing a virtual reading of Flowers Behind the Mountain in recognition of Hispanic Heritage Month. And obviously my podcast, my stream, is really about all the topics that are important to me. But one of those is obviously amplifying Latinx voices and obviously putting more of my, brothers and sisters out there in terms of, being able to be seen by the world. And tell us a little bit about that project, what it encompasses.
Well, when COVID happened, everybody was locked up, and people started doing play readings and movie readings and all that. And so Barbara Benyon, who is the playwright, and she's out of New York, she had called me last year, and we did a stage reading of this back in New York last year. And so when COVID happened, we were already kind of coming out of COVID, and she said, I want to do a fundraising reading, like a reading. I don't know much about YouTube Live, but I want to do a reading of the play. And my mom's in New York. We got Barbara Bonilla, an actress, is out of Florida. We have Patrick is out of Mexico City. We have someone else that's another person out of New York. So that brings the cast together. It's only 5 characters, and it's about the human spirit. It's about the fight for a better life. How people will actually come into this country from another country, and it's not just Mexico. It involves other countries, and coming just because they want a better life. And it's these 5 stories, these 5 people, and it's their stories. And I'm so attached to the resilience that my character has, and all of them too. And so we're going to get to do on the 9th of October, we get to do this reading, a live reading of this play. And of course, we've been rehearsing it, and we've been getting it down so that we're not reading a script. We really want to, get into it 100%. And the whole goal for this is to raise funds for our programs here, LA, and Tijuana, and also San Diego. And so the wonderful thing is that the kids here, they'll be also watching. So
you're gonna be off book, right?
I'll be off book. Off book. That's when for those who do not know, that's when you're completely memorized and you get into the character and you're living it and you're breathing it and
you're telling other people what their lines are that they messed up. It's like, nope.
But remember, we're the king of improvisation. So go ahead, mess up your line. I'll figure out a way out.
I'll figure it out. All right, so we're talking with Jose Yenque. We've already gone an hour. I still have a bunch of questions for him. We're gonna watch a clip from. We're gonna watch a little video which is about Arts for a Better Tomorrow, and then we're gonna come right back and talk more with Jose. All right, here we go.
Yenque actually goes to Tijuana, and like he's in where people don't want to go, where people are scared to go, and he actually goes and helps, and it's good. He shows us both how both roads are. Like he shows them how we live, he shows us how they live. I don't know, it opened my eyes a lot.
Hi, I'm Celeste. I work in City of Angels Orphanage. I'm in charge of all the girls and the teens. Programs like Art for a Better Tomorrow, they're important because we need to get the feelings out, to get the thoughts out, to get everything. They have a shell and they don't want to express anything. They just want to keep everything inside and okay, I'm just angry, I'm just losing everything because I don't want to express anything. I want to let you in. So these programs makes them to feel free, just to open their minds and hey, there's an option.
Arts for a Better Tomorrow was organically created with the objective to help underserved youth learn crucial life tools. The majority of the youth ABT works with come from abusive or homeless situations, have no support, or are in a transitional period facing other difficulties in life. They're all at great risk of giving up on themselves, dropping out of school, and falling into delinquency. ABT has a recipe for addressing this need. Our specially designed dramatic arts program, infused with tools to help manage anxiety, depression, and anger through CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. This helps them learn to cope with past traumas and overcome the obstacles that hold them back. Through ABT classes, youth discover who they are, accept who they are, and most importantly, love who they are. This reconnects them to their full potential. Currently, our program encompasses the border region from Tijuana to Los Angeles, in public schools, community centers, and orphanages. The classes are run simultaneously on both sides of the border. The students exchange video messages during the program. That encourages trans-border camaraderie as they discover that they share the same struggles and dreams. A network of strong, mentally and emotionally healthy members of our international community.
Arts for a better tomorrow.
Arts for a better tomorrow. Tools for life.
Sorry about the dramatic transition.
I like that.
That's that kind of sums it up right there in a short snippet in terms of what it is that you guys are trying to accomplish. I can imagine that since you're not really since the goal is not necessarily for these students to achieve a certain level of success in acting or in filmmaking, that it might be hard to gauge success. What are some of the sort of success stories that you can share with us, or how do you measure sort of the effectiveness of the program?
I'm glad you asked that. In the beginning, the only way that I figured out how to measure this.
Jose, and if you need to take a quick break, we can. If you need to get water or use the bathroom, just let me know, and we can.
I'm good.
You're good. Okay, good.
I came ready.
Got it.
Well, I'm set. We got to shoot this out.
Hey, okay, got it. Cool.
Yeah, man. No. In the beginning, the only way I thought that we can is if we, it's picture like an acting class, right? But once again, we're not saying, oh, you're going to learn how to act. No, we're just let's just play around and see what happens. And we do use elements of writing little scenes and scripts, and we use the camera, right? Something that so many people are terrified of. And so what we basically do is, in the beginning, is record them, and we ask them a certain amount of questions. And then later on, after 3 or 4 months of the program, then we ask them the same questions again. And you can see the difference in the answers. So we can see the way they answer the questions too. And we even start recording before we get the camera set up, so you see how excited they are, and it's amazing. So that's the first. But with a lot of grants, they don't accept video. So they're like, how are you measuring success? So it wasn't until last year, at the end of last year, or actually for the last semester here for the fall semester, I got a friend of mine turned me on to a program that's by the name Warwick. And what they do is they provide like this exam, and you can alter it and stuff. And so we started to give that to our students before, and then they answer the same amount of questions after, and then the difference is measured. So we just started to do that, and we started to do it in a bigger scale in January, and then COVID happened, and then we thought we had to scramble to turn an acting program, which is this, right? It's connecting, and it's being out of your comfort zone, but this is all in a room, in a safe place. Then all of a sudden we're doing it in front of a camera, where dude, I'm not really looking at you. If I was looking at you, I'd be looking at you right here, but then that's not looking at you. So I'm trying to look at you. So it's this dance that we do, and so they had to take the test again, and so we haven't seen actually what the measurements are from that. So that's a whole nother story. But that's one method that we're using, especially from here on, going forward. So we're hoping that in January we go back into the classrooms, back in Tijuana, we'll be able to use it. We have it in English, we have it in Spanish, and that's one way that we have to measure, definitely to measure. Yeah.
The program's been going on for what, about 10 years now, or 9 years?
Well, no, actually, it started in 2001.
Okay, 20 years.
With my first encounter, but it didn't actually. I didn't round it out, and I always say that this was born organically. I didn't start the pilot, the first acting workshop in 2012. That's when I first piloted. But it was stuff it was basically watching the 9 and 10-year-olds grow up, and then by the time they were 18 and 19, they were aging out of the orphanage. Like I mentioned, this was born. The idea the concept came from working with the kids in Tijuana, and I didn't think I was going to be going back to Tijuana so much. I didn't think that I was going to become so invested in Tijuana. But I just want to throw this other information in between acting gigs. What I used to do was get into a lot of trouble and just spend money, and that's what I used to do back then. So I said, I got to do something in between acting gigs that's going to keep me busy, and I want to start filling this, and that's where I started to create this, and we started the acting program, and then it started to build, and then there was demand for it, and it started to grow. And so people say, what do actors do in between acting gigs? Save lives, maybe, and I don't say it with any kind of arrogance at all. I say it with a confidence that is bigger than you and I, man. It's something that really that it works and is so needed, And I got to tell you, it doesn't work with everybody. I think we had the first homicide losing one of our kids to homicide happened in 2016, and I say that because the reason that this programs continue is because of losing that young man, and so that's why I'm in. Whether I'm acting or whether I'm not acting, is it between acting gigs? Is it while I'm doing it at the same time? Yeah, man, this is what's keeping me talking for an hour.
Got it. No, you're passionate about you're passionate about it, and obviously it comes through both in your words and more importantly in your actions. I'm assuming that you're also you're still keeping in touch with the people from the first few classes. Do they check in on you?
Oh, well, the first group have become my family. So I have an extended family in Tijuana, and we started shooting a documentary about 11 months ago. But then when COVID happened, we had to stop, and so we just kind of did a couple of virtual filming, where we're meeting each other and trying to deal with what's going on with during the COVID. It was really hard on everyone. As I don't have to repeat that. It was hard having them over there and me being here. It was very difficult, and it rocked me to my core because I didn't know how to handle it. Having them here, and then of course having my family in New York, it was crazy. But with this group, it's about 14 of them. They range from now almost all of them are like maybe 14 to 19 to 20. I still stay in contact. They're helping me to we're developing a series idea, a TV series idea. So that's what's part of the documentary that we're doing right now. Once again, we're creating characters that are based on them. That are based on all the people that I've met in this 17 plus something years crossing into Tijuana. The wonderful thing about the documentary is you're going to get to come with me on my trips. And I don't drive. I drive, but I don't drive to Tijuana, or I don't drive to San Diego. I do the Amtrak, and sometimes if I miss the Amtrak, I do the Greyhound, right? And it's just kind of bringing everybody with me and say, I want you to see what I see. I want you to meet the people that I meet, and then you decide, whether you think they should be in cages or not. I'll leave it up to you. I know what I believe, right? And there's kind of like, let me bring these let me bring you guys into this world. You can meet these wonderful, resilient, strong members of our global community. Yeah.
Awesome. Obviously it's almost like if you adapted the thought process of the Benicio del Toro character from Traffic, because his whole thing at the end of that movie was, you need to start paying attention to what's happening in Tijuana, build stuff for the kids, parks, games, but you're doing it more in line with acting.
Oh my God, dude. I gotta see the movie again. I haven't seen the movie in a long time. I just remember he was
telling the guy you knew where to get the best steak.
Steak. Right? Oh God, oh crazy! No, wait. I remember the end of the movie. He's watching a baseball game.
Yeah, they're in the pool. Like when he's talking to like the DEA guys, and they're like all like sitting. They're all like in a pool, and he's basically telling them. Basically, he's like, you know what I want? I just want you guys to start paying more attention to what's happening in Tijuana. You know, these kids and stuff like that. Which, if you think about it, is kind of a little bit of what you've adapted. You know, into this program.
You know what? Things happen. We either see it, we hear it, we feel it, and something gets planted. It gets planted. So yeah, you know what? If Benicio, if that's what he did in the film, and if that's how it was written, or he ad-libbed, or he improvised, hopefully, because he loved to improvise. If that was whatever that was, then it was planted here.
Sometimes it takes somebody else to point it out. Sometimes like I talk a lot about that when about my writing, which is that when I used to study film, one of the things I hated about film school is that when I was studying film, they would tell me how to feel about a film that I had already watched. And it was very much like, do you see the theme here? And he's supposed to represent Jesus Christ and this and that. And I never really understood it. When I started writing, I wrote a romantic comedy. And then later when I was rewriting or doing the third draft, that's when I was actually, somebody else read it for me. And they're like, well, it seems like you're talking about this or this. So sometimes the things that you produce, the art that you produce, or the things that you produce are coming from a place deep inside where you don't necessarily even know what the theme is or something that you're trying to work out in your mind. And then I wrote the movie, I filmed it, and I shot it, and I was like, oh, wait, that's me. That character's me. I get it now. And the theme was this. And so a lot of times when we're creating, we don't necessarily know where the creativity is coming from. It's things that have been implanted in our brain. It's our trauma. It's things that we're working out actively in our subconscious, right? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I totally agree with that, man. You know something? I always, people like ask me, where do these stories come from? Where do you think they come from? No, I mean, they come from us. They come from us. And if it comes from the writer, it came from the writer. Yeah, well, the writer experienced some stuff, whether it be good or bad or a little bit of both, or he knew somebody that was going through it. It comes from somewhere. And I think we're in a profession, a respectable profession, where if we have gone through some really, really challenging times, and if we have gone through some amazingly beautiful times that would just make you cry, right? We can use that. We have a platform where we can write about it, and we have a platform where, as the actor, if I have a character and I want to add some of this stuff that I've gone through, good or bad, and I want to add it into this character and give it another layer, then you go for it. And you know what? It's therapeutic. It's therapy, and they're paying you. Right. And you're getting paid for it, and you're having a great time. So yeah, man, I'm all about all of the stuff and the obstacles and the pain and the
self-realization, right?
Self-realization, man. It's just beautiful. I'm not a method actor, but like whenever I get a character or get a role, I instinctively find myself going to the market and kind of walking in that character just to like play. I'm playing. I'm like, well, this is my job. I'm doing my homework. So sometimes I tend to do that without realizing that I'm doing it. And even with an audition, if I'm getting ready for an audition, I have a character, and sometimes I start thinking, and instinctively I start looking at people that way. And I could always tell I'm doing it because people start looking at me different. Maybe some kind of a character with really, twisted intentions, or very like some kind of corrupt person, someone who's not taking care of this and not taking care of this, and he's this. And I see people looking at me either with a false sense of respect or maybe fear. And then that's when I got to be like, oh, whoa, snap out of it, Jose. The audition's in 2 days. Calmate, calm down, calm down. But it's wonderful, man, to be able to use what we got. We got a lot. Some of us got more than others. We got stuff going on, and that's the goal of working with these youngsters and giving them this permission, saying, you know what, it's okay to let this out here. This is the place you can do it. Take the shame off the table. Shame, especially in the Latino, so many like the Italians, and just take the shame off it. Oh yeah, you've been through this. Take the shame off of it, and let's just use it. Yeah, it happened. It's unfortunate, but let's move forward. Come on.
I think it's important also to forgive yourself, because we spend all these times just living your life, and all of a sudden you'll remember something that you did, an action you took, a way you used to think about something, and you sort of cringe inside, but that's not doing you or the world any favors. At some point you have to forgive yourself and just basically, I try to live my life just trying to be better each day. I'm a I grew up as a sort of in a sort of sexist society. I was the príncipe, el rey. I was part of the patriarchy, right? And I had to unlearn a lot of misogynistic and sexist behavior that I had learned as a kid, and really just had to be honest with myself and accept that, like you said, strong women in your life, and now they're the backbone of pretty much my entire operation, in terms of producers, assistant directors, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's also important to self-reflect, to forgive yourself for the way you've acted in the past, and to sort of at least try to grow as a human being from that.
Yeah, man, you hit it right on the nose. I mean, the self-forgiveness. I think that there's so many people that still struggle with that. And the wonderful thing is now, I think that coming out of COVID, if we are coming out of COVID, but at least, being home and locked up, and had people kind of look at themselves a lot. And a lot of people, I'm sure they were maybe didn't know what to do with what they were seeing. And I think that unfortunately we did lose a lot of people to COVID, lost a lot of people to domestic violence. We lost a lot of people to even suicide, and of all ages, right? Of all ages. And so I think that hopefully one thing that'll come from this is more self-forgiveness. Maybe therapy won't be looked at as something to be ashamed of. And I see the commercial with Michael Phelps on on the TV. I'm like, good for you. You hear someone like Selena Gomez talking about how she has her bouts with anxiety, and even Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and it's something.
I think athletes coming out and talking about their struggles. I know, what is it? Paul George from the Clippers the other day was like, "Listen, we're in this sports bubble. I've been in a dark place the last couple of days. It's the shame, as you said, of seeking out mental help, especially for men, is thankfully crumbling slowly. And I think that more action, more statements, people being more open about how they feel and the struggles they have are important. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. You finished my sentence. No, I'm serious, man. We're on the same way. Yeah. We're on the same way. There's a reason why we're talking here. Nothing's an accident. And I'm just hoping that the younger generation, and there are a lot of the younger generation is now seeing this, that the taking care of yourself from within, and asking for help, or even fessing up, like I would say, admitting that you don't feel great inside, and that you are feeling sad, or you are feeling angry, or you are feeling anxious, you're feeling unstable, you feel nervous, or whatever. It's not nothing to be ashamed of. and that you'd be surprised that even the person that you look up to, and which is why we use, the what I call the Hollywood element. Because, even some of the people that you do look up to, whether it be a big actor or a big actress or a big sports athlete, they also have their bouts. So that normalizes it, says, this normal, this happens. It's normal, it does happen. Now, are there solutions? Hell yeah.
Absolutely. I was talking to David Fernandez, who has a Earn Your Life app, basically that's like meditation, different podcasts about mental health and stuff like that. And one of the key things that we talked about was the fact that there's a lot of people out there that are influencers and or people that are on Instagram and other things that seem to have this perfect life. And they have this sort of fake it till you make it, good vibes only, positive thoughts only. And it is important to note that even though the goal for somebody should be to try to get as close to a happy place as you can, it is okay not to always be strictly positive. You are allowed to have down days. I know, for example, for me, I'm a filmmaker, but I had to make a realization a few months ago that realistically, I'm not comfortable bringing people onto the set right now, probably not for a while. So I had to stay creative, and I started creating content for filmmakers, for actors, doing these podcasts and streams to sort of have interesting conversations and stuff like that. But as a performer, sort of, I finish one of these streams, and it's almost like I just came off stage, So I need to like wind down afterwards, take it easy, do some breathing. I can't just move on to the next thing, But and then sometimes when you are a performer or any part of your life, if you reach something, sometimes there's just a natural lowering of your internal, serotonin levels or what have you, that puts you into a down space. But you realize that your highs are never going to be as high and your lows should never be that low. You need to sort of find a good medium for yourself,
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I mean, it's, I think for people who may see this and maybe they don't know this process or this experience about being, getting all that adrenaline and getting all those chemicals in your body going, and then when you're done, you're like, okay, now what do I do? Where do I go? What do I do? I think it's connected to doing something that you're very passionate about, and it's connected to doing something that really makes you feel alive. And I go back to the 14-year-old Jose Yenque back in New York, where I all of a sudden became alive again. And I'm like, damn, how many years have I missed? And then just turning it around and putting the focus on, but the barrier came down and now I'm feeling alive. And so I think that if everyone can experience that and move towards that, I know the world will be a lot better place. I'd love to take this. I mean, not me, but I think that, taking one of these intense acting workshops or character building or whatever, breaking barriers workshop to some of the leaders that are struggling with each other and with themselves, man, they would benefit from this and stop going around them, like a dog chasing a tail and just going around and being angry with your own tail and just being angry and then having everybody feel it. I think that a good workshop with thru, will definitely do some of the leaders that we have now, would do them a whole lot of good.
Mandatory improv and acting workshops for all politicians.
All politicians, and I say that, and I say that not because I'm choosing one side or the other, because you get people on Facebook that are like, no, Jose, why are you that? Why are you this and this? And at the end of the day, how much damage can someone cause, or can a group of people cause? Who's causing it? My grandfather used to say, something when there's a problem, right? I'll give an example. We used to say, when a dog does a poop, right? He does a poop right there in the middle of the living room. Oh, wait, but you were supposed to take him out. No, you were going to take him out. I thought you were going to take him out. Well, he's your dog. Well, yeah, but you bought him. Oh, no, but it was your turn to take him out. We're doing all of this fighting and all this complaining about, and then meanwhile, you're smelling this poop. So why not get down Anybody, grab paper, clean it down. You get the Windex, clean it up, freshener, boom, make it smell, awesome again. And then you found this, you focused on solutions, right? There's a lot of poop smelling going on that I noticed. There's a lot of poop smelling. And we need to kind of cut this out. I'm tired of smelling it, right? And
right.
We can try to be positive as much as possible, but at some point you're going to notice that it smells like poop around it. So I'm just about, let's try to figure something out, and that's it. That's my piece on that.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk, right? How can people get involved with Arts for a Better Tomorrow? Obviously, there's going to be a live stream October 9th of the reading, and we'll make sure that we promote it and re-release this when that's happening. But other than that, what do you need? What can people out there do that sort of connect with your message to help this organization out?
Well, I got to say that we need help in every aspect. As I mentioned, we are a small team. Where our programs are becoming more in demand, and we don't have the manpower. We don't have quite intact the infrastructure. We have some of it, but we don't have all of it to handle the demand. And so we're growing. So the baby has been crawling on the floor, and the baby's about to take the first step. And so we kind of need help across the board, whether it be volunteers in any aspect, or whether it be administrative, or definitely in the teachers and people who are studying education, psychology, artists like crazy, for sure. And we have a website, and if anybody wants to go to the website, it definitely goes right to the programs. And it goes to the website. It's www.arts, B as in boy, T as in Tom, or should I say B as in better, and T as in tomorrow.org. So that's www.artsbt.org. And it's arts with an S. There you go. That's it. And I worked hard. Right now, we found someone in New York, man, came from the sky. Well, actually, no, he came from New York, actually. He's doing our website. He's volunteered to do our website, and what he's taken on is the website that we have on now. It's the older website, but he's coming on board to help us with the website and have a blog, and we're gonna bring in content on that to everything that has to do with resilience building, and which is definitely needed now, especially after COVID, and just resources for young people, and for when they're going through difficult times. None of our instructors and none of our workshops, if you're not in a workshop, you can still go to this website and find the resources and find the training and maybe some of the courses that could help you. And obviously for young people, we're looking at it being free of charge. And so that's definitely some of the help. Come and watch on the 9th, where it's going to be 6 p.m. West Coast time. It'll be 9 p.m. on the East Coast time, and then everywhere in between, I get figured out, the time zones. And watch us. It's a play by Barbara Binion called Flowers Behind the Mountain. My mom is one of the characters there, Jose Yenque. She plays Isabella.
Have scenes with her or no?
No. Oh. I think there's an interaction I have with her where we have like maybe 2 lines with each other. And it's a trip because we've worked on 2 projects, on the TV series here, and we had scenes, but we didn't have anything together. And the same thing in the Blue Diner. We were in the same movie, and we didn't have any scenes together. The project that I'm developing right now with the kids in Tijuana, it's in English and Spanish. That one there's a character in there, and I will have a lot of scenes. I would have a lot of wonderful scenes. I will have a lot of friction scenes with my mom. And one of the reasons I'm writing this and putting this together with some of my friends is because I want to do projects that really inspire. I want to do projects that help people think and provoke thought and inspire solutions and a chance to bout with her. I want to
get in the ring, get in that family ring.
And I tell you, her character is based on on three people, three directors and principals that I've dealt with in all of these years, and and it's based loosely on my experiences and the experiences of the kids, and about us going full speed running into the wall, and looking at the wall as something beautiful, and not that, oh God, why did I hit that? And her character is one of the walls, one of the walls, and the women that she's inspired, that inspired, the character for me to write about, for her, I love them. I love these women, and I respect them 100%. And I think back then they were doing what they were doing, not out of malice. They were protecting their kids. They were protecting their old traditional ways that they know, which is the way they grew up. But when we talk about bringing in the arts, it's new. Sometimes it's innovative, and what people don't know, they they have a fear to it. And so it's kind of based on my story. When I started to bring these acting workshops to these rural places, I got a lot of friction, and I got a lot of resistance. So it was a combination between resistance and hug. So sometimes it was a hug with like a, smack on the head. So, but it was beautiful though. And so, what was the question again? My ADD.
No, I don't know. You were vibing about something, but I did want to ask you one last question, and then I have a speed round for you, and then I'm gonna let you go because we've already almost at an hour 45.
Wow.
Yeah, no, and it seems to be flowing quickly, but I don't want to. I know you got a lot of stuff going on. Number one, obviously, I'm a filmmaker. I think where I'm strongest is in being able to teach or help people understand the specific sort of what independent filmmaking is and how it's basically about problem solving, because there's always something that's going to go wrong on an independent film set. And I have, probably 15 shorts, 2 features under my belt. So, from my perspective, anything that you need in terms of mentorship or talking to any of these classes or students regarding the nuts and bolts of independent filmmaking, you can count me in. Just, I'll put it, I won't say it offline, I'll say it live, just because that way, you know what I mean? So absolutely. And especially San Diego, Tijuana related, if you expand to New York as well, I'm definitely open to that. We have two other comments here from people that are watching live. Vicky Magliana says, excellent work, Jose Yenque.
Tijuana, Vicky's an amazing person. She has a organization that's right now, she's president, and it's in Tijuana, and they came in and they actually helped us they facilitated, they offered us the Casa de la Cultura de Altamira, and that was huge. So a lot of the development, the classes, a lot of the documentary that we're shooting, a lot of it actually takes place there in La Casa de la Cultura Altamira. They have a room there, and the reason I'm not being rude or anything, the reason I'm going here is because I want to make sure that I get Seminario de Cultura Mexicana. So she is Seminario de Cultura Mexicana representing. Gracias, Vicky, for partnering with us over there in Tijuana, man. For a long time, we didn't have our classes were being held like at a ranch, like in a little shanty, cabin, or sometimes it was held on the bleachers of a soccer field in Zona Norte. We'd hold it in the hallway. We had it at an orphanage in the dining area, and so we never really had a home in Tijuana until we came on board and with the other board members, and they're offering. It's a classroom, man. It's a classroom with a door that opens.
The environment makes a difference, right?
Oh man, it's got windows and you can open them and close them, and it has chairs where you can sit. It's a room. It's a classroom. And the kids came in and they're like, I remember these are kids that this group that were developing this project together. They come in from far places, Maclovio Rojas. They come in from El Florido, all these areas, and they come in and they're like, do we sit on the floor? No, we look at all these chairs. We actually can sit in chairs now, and then we're sitting in the chairs. It's awesome, man, Vicky. It's good to see her. She's always smiling.
All right, we got 2 more here. Marco Lavista. Saludos.
La Bastida, man. He's an
amazing
opera singer. Just amazing singer in general. It's just amazing. And he was my introduction to Vicky Magaña. And so he's also with the Seminario de la Cultura Mexicana. An amazing person. He came in and gave some classes to this group of kids that I'm working with in Tijuana. And he came in. It was beautiful. It's in the documentary, by the way, because we had the camera crew there recording. And he was helping them find out, like, just, and the way he was teaching them, I was mesmerized. And he was saying that la voz, the voice, is la puerta, the door to success, or the door to the world, the voice. And he was having them do this as they would work doing the voice work. That was beautiful, Marco, man. That was beautiful to see. And I just wanted to also, the documentary, it's being shot. Camera guys are Irving Baez, and he introduced me to Ivan Gomez, and those 2 guys have done everything from follow me from Tijuana with the cameras, stay here on my couch and in my my other bedroom, and film here, still record me on a regular day. And for those who don't know documentary filmmaking, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of just filming, a lot of just man.
And then we have 1 more here. Jose Rivera says saludos.
Jose Rivera is, I think, well, that's I know a lot of Jose Rivera's. Saludos, Jose. I think Jose is the photographer in Tijuana. Man, Tijuana's representing here, man.
Man, we got comments from Peru, Tijuana, everywhere today. I had 1 more acting relation question, and then I always end each interview with sort of a bit or sort of, and we're going to do a rapid fire this or that with you, Jose. And then David Fernandez commented not on the feed, but he said he loves the interview and he was watching on a watch party that I hosted. So shout out David Fernandez, Earn Your Life, etc. But we talk a little bit about kind of the part about acting. I talked to Merrick and David about this. When you get these featured roles on established TV shows, and you're going there to act in a scene with an established 10, 15-year TV actor, or on a film set with like a Benicio del Toro or something like that. How do you deal with the emotions running through you, like maybe 20 minutes before you need to be on set? Do you sort of, after you book the part, just have an entire freedom of, this is my part, I got it, I'm going to go on there and crush it? Is there self-doubt? Did they pick the right person? I'm not right for this. And how does that process work for you as an actor, and how do you overcome that?
Well, I used to have that self-doubt definitely years ago, where kind of you start to question and you're like, man, am I right for this role? And are they going to discover me? Am I going to be found out that I didn't go to Juilliard and studied acting and this and nothing wrong with studying at Juilliard, but I mean, I didn't go to this academy or that academy and really get rounded out, right? And that was years ago. And what I do is when you get the role, that's when the homework already began before you went into the casting. When I go into an audition, it's always ready. I go like camera ready. I go ready to, like, as though I'm going onto a set to work, as opposed to going to a casting director to prove myself. So you go ready to work. And so after you get the role, the work continues. You have to really do your homework. You have to be ready. And be ready. And I'll go back to working on a big set. My biggest job that I had in the beginning, was my first job was the X-Files. And so back then, Scully and Mulder, Gillian Anderson and David
Duchovny,
they were huge. And I didn't know what a Scully was or Mulder was. They were male or female. I didn't know about the X-Files too much. But it was a huge show on Fox. And when I showed up, I think back and no, there were no nerves because I was so focused on the work. And you get excited to show up to work. And when you feel excited, embrace it. because you know something, you can try to make it go away, but it's there. So now you feel excited, and sometimes you get that cold feeling in your hands, and you get a little bit of sweat. It's because you're excited. It's because this matters to you, and that's the only thing that I kind of process in myself when I get a job now. Wow, great! You're gonna go work. Okay, what is this character? What is my part in this story? What is my piece in this puzzle? And do your job and focus. If you really focus on what you got to do, you don't have to. I don't think it's gonna get so much in the way that you're working opposite a big actor like a Tom Cruise or Dwayne the Rock Johnson. They're actors too, and you guys have a task to do. You guys got to make this little thing. You got to connect and make this come to life. And so I always tell a lot of young actors, you know what, just show up and just do your thing, man.
Show up, hit your mark. Don't get fired on the first day, because then it's more expensive to replace you.
Yeah, and if you get fired because of a director or someone that has got something going on with them, just know it. You know, it's all them. And sometimes, you know, people tend to project on you and they make you feel, oh shoot, what did I do wrong? Yeah. Life is too short. I think, you know, it's
plus
to the best.
Actors need to understand too that they could come into an audition and do everything absolutely perfect, and I still might not choose you because you don't look like the part that I wrote in my head.
For sure. Right? Don't look like the part. Let's say you cast someone to play the mom, and then someone needs to play, I don't know, the sister of the mom or the son. If there's nothing there that looks like they're related, then maybe it's not going to happen. You know, I've seen it where you see a lot of great actors come into an audition, but there's only one role to cast, and each one of these are like, wow, these are great, and they all did something that's beautiful, but there's only one role, and that's why the actor has it can chip at you. It really does chip at you. That's where I go back into saying, we have to not just know how to hit our mark and not know. We have to know our technique, everything that goes along with being an actor and doing your job, memorizing lines, knowing character, and knowing your piece of the story, right? And trying to find the moments. But at the same time, there's a lot of internal work that has to go on as well. And so if you're lucky and you get all the roles and you're famous, you still got to do work inside, you know? So, I mean, it's just a matter of the self-help stuff that goes along with, at least with this actor right here. I got to take care of this. I got to take care of my business right now, because if this is not good, then I can go to a casting that I might show up to a casting and they might feel like, you know what, we want Jose Yenque, but have him come in. If I'm not good here, I'm going to give up some weird vibe.
We don't want Jose Yenque. We want a Jose Yenque type.
Jose Yenque type.
What was the old bit that the actor's career is like? Well, if we were saying who's Jose Yenque, it's like, who's Jose Yenque? Wait, have you heard of this Jose Yenque guy? I need Jose Yenque. We need a Jose Yenque type, and then finally, who's Jose Yenque again?
Man, you'd be surprised how many times I've said, "Who are you?
Who are you?"
I've seen them say, "Who's that?"
My problem is that when I have somebody that comes in and crushes an audition, even though they're not right for the part, somehow I find a way to write them into the movie, just because and you can make an impression on a director if you come in. I always like actors that come in and they make choices beyond the page. So if I'm giving you a paragraph about this character and you come in with a page worth of work, it's going to be evident to me when you audition that you've put in work and you've really thought about this. So I think that actors shortchange themselves by just focusing only on what's written. If I give you this much, make up the rest. And I've had people that came in for an audition and the character had a lisp and he had like a pen protector, and they had made these decisions for the character. And that, even though I was auditioning for a part that I already thought I had cast, just that action made me want to put them in a bunch of subsequent projects, actually. So
yeah, you build you build your
shout out Kiala, who's my friend that I always tell that story about. But here, Jose said that he is the photographer from.
I knew it. Yeah, of course. That's why I knew it. And Jose, el fotógrafo. Oh man, saludos, Jose. No, yo me recordé, Jose. I just tu photo, the photo you have on the.
You're like, who's Jose? I'm like, well, he looks like a cartoon.
I love that photo. You know that looks like someone who's been around, who's been through it, man. Through it. You know, we all stars, you know. So todo bien, Jose.
Jose Yenque, Arts for a Better Tomorrow. Look that up. Donate your time, donate your money. They're doing a lot of good stuff here in San Diego, Los Angeles, Tijuana. Obviously, charity is something that's gone down during COVID. But there's ways that you can help out, and like I said, I'm available for anything related to filmmaking, writing, editing, anything that I can host, talk or whatever on. Just take me up on that. October, Friday 9th, there is going to be a live virtual reading of Flowers Behind the Mountain in recognition of Hispanic Heritage Month, with people donating their acting ability and hopefully making donations again to Arts for a Better Tomorrow with Jose. I appreciate you coming on, taking the time to talk with me today. You are a person that's now iconic here in the San Diego, Tijuana area because of your humanitarian work, but you started off in New York. So my bit for you is going to be the ultimate New York this or that questionnaire. All right. Okay. So these are all questions, rapid fire, one at a time, all about New York institutions. I'm going to give you two options. You tell me which one you like better than the other. All right.
Okay.
All right. Marlon Brando or Lin-Manuel Miranda?
Marlon Miranda. I love them both, man. I love them both. Lin is killer, man. But Marlon, oh my God.
I started off with a hard one. Miranda's kind of like what all acting techniques are based on.
I think Lin has a lot of Marlon inside of him.
All right.
Oh God.
You're originally from Brooklyn, New York. The New York Knicks or the New York Nets?
Knicks.
The Knicks. All right. Even though the Nets are in Brooklyn, you're still keeping it at Knicks, right?
Yeah, because that's all I know, really.
All right. Mets or Yankees?
Yankees.
All right. Famous original Rays or Rays famous original?
Phase. Rays famous original.
All right. Making sure you knew which one was the real one. All right. You passed. That's a New Yorker test.
Yep.
All right. Street hot dog or Frank's papaya?
Frank's papaya. Burnt.
All day. All day. Stanislavski or Meisner?
Oh, Meisner.
All right. Chekhov or Uda Hagen?
Uda.
All right. And based on your shows where you've done actually 2 Chicago-based hospital shows, ER or Chicago Hope?
ER.
New York Undercover or NYPD Blue?
New York Undercover.
All right. And X-Files or Lost?
Oh. X-Files.
I was trying to do like themes of like spooky, you know.
You know that the director who directed me in the X-Files in 1998, he hired me, the same to Tucker Gates. He's the one who directed the episode of Lost.
Oh, wow.
Which is the last season.
Yeah.
Tucker Gates. And so when I saw him on the set, I was like, look at that. Here we go. You know, years ago, we were in Vancouver freezing our butts off. And now we're in Hawaii, Waikiki, you know, getting sun. And, oh, yeah.
And in purgatory.
Right.
You got an afternoon to kill in New York City. Are you going to FAO Schwartz or Macy's?
Macy's.
American History Museum or the MoMA?
American History Museum.
Obviously. Whitney or the Guggenheim?
Guggenheim.
Empire State Building or the Chrysler?
Empire State Building.
And if you got to go to lunch, do you go to Soho or Chinatown?
Chinatown.
All right. What is your favorite New York fusion style food? Greek fusion or Chino Latino?
Chino Latino. Come on, la cubana.
Better tourist trap to send people so they're out of your way for 4 hours when they visit New York City? Rockefeller Center or the Statue of Liberty?
Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty. And then finally, you got 2 options from a acting fairy that's coming to make you an offer to test your acting faith, okay? there is a 18-month run of a Man of La Mancha type where you're going to play Don Quixote. Or you're going to do 5 seasons of a Chespirito remake where you're going to be one of the main players in every sketch, like El Profesor or something like that. La Chiripiorca. And that's going to run for 5 seasons on Netflix. Or Man of La Mancha for a 18-month run. What do you do?
Man of La Mancha.
Man of La Mancha. You're taking the stage.
Yeah, I haven't done the stage in so many years, man. I'll take it. They'll find somebody to be in Chespirito. They'll cast it like this. Yeah.
All right. Okay. One last one I forgot. Better Borough. Better Borough. I guess calling card. Boogie Down Bronx or BK all day.
Oh man, I only know the Boogie Down Bronx because I mean, my friends are from the Boogie Down Bronx growing up. What is BK? Oh man,
like Brooklyn all day, BK all day.
Oh man, see, I don't know that expression. Brooklyn.
Oh, okay.
I just know Brooklyn. That's about it.
Or Crooklyn before it became.
Yeah, Crooklyn, but I just knew it as Brooklyn. Say the Brooklyn like that. Brooklyn.
We'll give you a pass on that, Jose.
Boogie down.
We're 2 hours in, so we'll give you a pass on that last question. Okay, again, Arts for a Better Tomorrow, artsbt.org to get involved, donate to be a part of it. October 9th, the virtual reading of Flowers Behind the Mountain. Jose Yenque continues his acting career, his humanitarian career, his trying to be better every day. So I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. I wish you nothing but the best of luck with this endeavors. We'll make sure to share this as it gets closer to the event so people know about it. And like I said, I'm on board to help you with whatever you need. Any last words for us, Jose?
Yeah, I just need to do a shout out, un saludo, shout out to my cast members in Tijuana, the project we're working on. Belén, Alondra, un saludo, Corazón, María Elena Banuelos. We've got Coquis, Jorge Navarro, my God. Tú has sido de verdad una inspiración para todo ese proyecto. También Israel Hernández, Andrés Valle, Julián, Edgar Torres, Ada, Nelly, Arturo Chiquito, Arturo Grande, ¿quién más? Félix, Brenda, José Eduardo, les mando todos saludos de mi corazón. Los quiero mucho a todos ustedes. Ustedes son parte de mi familia y vamos adelante. COVID ya estamos yendo para allá. So ya pronto regreso a Tijuana para seguir este proyecto con ustedes. Por seguro. I didn't miss anybody? No, I think that's about everybody. Yeah.
We had one last comment that was not a comment. Josefina Medina said absolutely nothing, but she's watching the stream. So thank you very much.
She said, Josefina, no hablas. What's up? You don't.
No hablas.
She works at Mayor College, and Josefina helped me when I piloted this. And when I piloted it, I wasn't really sure. I knew the arts was going to help. I just wasn't sure how to do it. And she was there with me. And so, thank you, Josefina. I remember you. Siempre me recuerdo de ti.
All right. Thank you for being a part of this, Jose. Thank you for everybody that's watching. Thank you to everybody. Muchas gracias a todo el mundo que comentó, que dejó likes, que dejó comentarios para preguntarle a Jose. Toda nuestra audiencia latina también, our English, Spanish-speaking, bilingual audience. Everybody be involved with something, more stuff coming for Jose in the near future. Muchas gracias, hermano. Nos hablamos.
Oscar también. Y saludos,
Oscar también.
Oscar Pantoja. Okay. I knew I forgot.
That's that ADHD getting to you. You're like, I need to find the name. I need to get it.
I got on my own Adderall. All right.
Yeah, well, we went through 2 hours and 7 minutes, and you didn't miss a beat. So, yeah, so it carried us through, man. So again, I appreciate you. Wish you nothing but the luck. I'll be talking to you if you need anything from me. You have a way to contact me.
I will definitely call you, my friend.
And everybody, thanks for watching. Big Chief Burrito out. Take it easy, Jose.
Take care, man.
All right, that has been another episode of the Fireside Chats with Big Chief Burrito. What do you guys think? Jose Yenque is, by all accounts, an incredible human being. He is doing a lot of great work in the area where we live, San Diego, Tijuana, Los Angeles, and his Arch for a Better Tomorrow program is really a great way for young people that have, trauma or abuse in their life to sort of find a way to deal with that trauma and abuse through acting, which I think is very important. Like I said, I saw a thread about, acting being something that is good for everybody, because it makes you sort of think differently. It puts you in other people's shoes. It teaches you humanity. It teaches you to listen. It teaches you a lot of cool stuff. So I am all for that. I want to thank you guys for liking the video. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. We are now available on Twitch. And hold on a second. I'm finding we're on Twitch as well. So thanks again for watching. Make sure you like, leave a comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. We're going to be live tomorrow as well. More acting this week. This time, Randy Davidson is going to talk about being in a movie in a scene with Gary Oldman being directed by David Fincher. So that's going to be real cool. So thank you, everybody else. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And this is Big Chief Burrito, and I'm out.